Hey everybody, good morning and welcome. My name is Max Clue and I'm your host this morning for the Absa Online Community Ride number 4, proudly brought to you, of course, and hosted by the Premier League South Africa. We've got race start, or the ride start, in about 2 minutes' time, and really excited to have the teams joining us this morning, all the athletes joining us, some of the community involved from Team Absa, but also some of the local riders and local community as well. So very excited to have you all. We hope that you enjoy the ride with us this morning as we go on the magnificent 8 route in Watopia. Let's get across to the start line now and count down the riders as they get ready to go out on their ride. Team Marshal for the day, of course, Andrew Grobler, and he will once again cast a net over all the riders, and they will be going out on this route this morning. So about 30 seconds until the start. You can see there as they wait for the start line, you can see that band there. And they're on their trainers at the moment, obviously warming up and getting ready to go. Distance today, just under 30 kilometers, shouldn't be longer than an hour for most of the riders. The top riders might go a little bit faster, but it really is going to be a great ride today. And we've got some incredible conversation pieces this morning with some amazing people, and we're really excited to bring that to you. 5 seconds now to go, and you'll see they will be released off the start line and get out onto the course this morning. So you'll see the riders in all their different bikes. You see they're all in the colors of the black and red as they go out along the boardwalk and onto the route. Excited to see the names in the group this morning. We've got Henrico Berger there, who's obviously the route director of the Absa Cape Epic. Looking forward to chatting to him a little bit later and find out exactly what goes into putting together this incredible route that is the Absa Cape Epic. A very good morning to those guys and girls joining us this morning. Gareth Harrington there as well. We'll be chatting to him a little bit later as well, and very excited about that. So out they go on the route now, and the head marshal from Team Absa is, of course, Andrew Grobler. The 4th ride in this series brought to you by the team at Absa as we prepare for the 2021 Absa Cape Epic, the 17th to the 24th of October. Joining us on the ride this morning, and for the first time on the ride, very excited to have her. It is Jabu Insambanyoni, the marketing manager of the regions and sponsorship. Let's quickly have a look at her profile. There she is now on the ride. You'll see her riding with the team, and what we're going to do as well is go in and have a quick chat with her this morning as she welcomes us to the ride, and she welcomes the incredible team from the Absa Cape Epic, the team that makes it happen. These are some of the core members of that incredible unit that brings you the world's biggest and most sought-after mountain bike stage race. Let's go across to Jabu now. She's on Zwift. She's in her studio at home, in her pain cave, and let's have a quick chat with her. Jabu, good morning. So you can see...
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thanks. And yourself? You look amazing in your pain cave.
I'm trying. It's a rainy morning in Joburg. Oh, well, Pretoria.
Yes, I got up this morning and I heard the raindrops and I thought, oh, what a great day to be on Zwift. I wouldn't like to be out on the roads in this weather. Jabu, I think quickly from your side, just a welcome to all the riders and the community watching the ride this morning, and specifically a welcome to the incredible team of the Absa Cape Epic.
So morning everyone, and welcome to our 4th Zwift online ride as we get ready for the Absa Cape Epic. I think firstly I would just like to welcome our special guests and partners at Absa Cape Epic, Kevin, Gareth, Enrico, Mike, and Karen. So these are the guys that actually make things happen for us. And we're very excited and happy that this morning they'll be leading the pack and giving us the scoop about what's coming up in the Absa Cape Epic. So morning, welcome, and let's just enjoy the ride.
Oh, thanks very much, Jabu. It's fantastic to have you joining us. Jabu, you're a relative newbie to cycling. You did your first 94.7 last year. You come from a running background. How have you found yourself integrating into cycling? Are you enjoying the community? So battling a little bit with Jabu's signal there. We're going to try and get her back in the meantime. Let's go to the full screen, back to the race in the meantime. We'll try and come back into Jabu and see if we can get her back online. But there she is riding at the moment. She's there's Poppleton now from the USC leftovers, and they're at the front riding nicely. They're just on 3 minutes into the ride, averaging 41 kilometers an hour. I think while we do try and get Jabu back online, perhaps what we can do is quickly go and have a look at the route for today. Let's go and see what these guys and girls are up to. There it is, the Magnificent 8 route in Watopia. The route basics, the length 28.6 kilometers, the elevation just 131 meters, and that small little lead in at the start, which takes them off the boardwalk and onto the route. It is a very popular route in the Zwift world of Watopia, and the riders, as we said, should accomplish this route in just under 1 hour today. So good luck to all of them as they get out onto that Magnificent 8 route, and have fun out there today, guys and girls. Remember to interact with us on the platform. Those of you watching the live stream on YouTube, send us questions so that we can get those across to our panel of incredible guests today and have a chat with them and possibly pose those questions to them as well. There's also some really cool prizes to give away. We've got 3 500 Rand vouchers to give away this morning, and those, of course, from the Absa Cape Epic merchandise stable. So comment, get involved, and you could walk away with one of those incredible prizes today. Watching Jerry Walsh at the moment, Aurelia Edwards there as well. Sean Madison riding now as they go through the volcanoes. You'll see the lava fields here on this Magnificent 8 route, and just incredible in-game experience at the moment. So not sure if we're going to be able to get Jabu back online, but what we are going to do quickly is go and have a chat with Kevin Vermaak. Kevin Vermaak, of course, the founder of the Absa Cape Epic, and we're going to have a quick look at his profile quickly. And Kevin, obviously, just incredible in what he does, how he rallies his team around him. We've spoken in the last 3 episodes about how important it is to choose the right teammate, how important it is to make sure that you're packing the right things for the race and getting everything together with regards to your logistics and how you traverse between the race villages over the 8 days. But another very important part is this incredible team of ninjas that are behind the Absa Cape Epic. This team is absolutely phenomenal. They are world beaters in every aspect of the game. Today we're going to get to chat to 5 of them. Kevin Vermaak, the founder of the Absa Cape Epic, Mike Flynn, the general manager, Hendrico Berger, the route director, Karen Clements, the race director, and then, of course, Gareth Harrington from sponsorships. And we're going to get a little bit into their world, find out a little bit about them, what they do, and ask them some incredible questions, and hopefully get some feedback from them on how things are going in the lead up to the postponed event coming your way from the 17th to the 24th of October. Let's get across and see if we can find Kevin and start having a chat with him. Kevin, good morning.
Morning, Max. How you doing?
Very well, thank you. Cape Town looks beautiful in the background there.
It is indeed.
Kevin, so good to have you on the show. Thanks so much for your time, and hope you enjoy the ride with us this morning. Kevin, I think just to start, if we go into the history of the Absa Cape Epic, starting in 2004, going into its 17th year in 2021, we talk about tenacity, we talk about grit, we talk about determination, we talk about belief, we talk about the long game and the long investment in something. How did this come about? Where did it start? Where were you when you came? I mean, you're obviously an avid mountain biker. You love riding. How did it all happen? Where did this brainchild come from? Where did this little light bulb burst out? And where were you at the time?
So let's just correct a few things there, Max. When I started, I had the idea for the Cape Epic actually at the very first mountain bike race I ever entered. I was living in London at the time, and I would say I was a mountain biker in a sense that I did it for sport, and at that time my biggest mountain biking projects were actually like cycling over the Himalayas and cycling to big mountains in China and snowboarding off the top of those mountains, and it was more of an expedition for me, an adventure than racing. And then one summer in London, with some friends, we decided, let's go and do an adventure race, which was what La Ruta was in those days, a 4-day mountain bike stage race over Costa Rica from the Atlantic to the Pacific to the Atlantic, and we entered that race, and that was actually our very first mountain bike race that we entered, which was in the November of 2002. And we did a few races, obviously, to prepare for that, to get the whole racing vibe. But it was literally at that race in Costa Rica where we traveled from London, myself and some friends, and I thought, wow, this is a fabulous experience, and there were people queuing up from all over the world to do this race. I was the first South African ever to do it. and only a handful of folk that have traveled across the Atlantic to do it. And yeah, it was people were queuing up, paid a lot of money to do it. And I figured, wow, we could do something similar to this, but much better in South Africa. And so that was how the idea started. And a few months later, I quit my job in London, moved back to Cape Town. I'd already started things in London. And yeah, the rest is history. I mean, the first year, obviously, we had, it was pretty basic. And every year you get ideas how to make it bigger and better. And in the grander scheme of things, what we started out to achieve was to create a major sport event. We wanted to create the pedestal of mountain bike stage racing in the way that every other sport has got like one standout event. Mountain biking didn't really have that at the time. And so that's what we set out to create. And 17 years in this grand scheme of things is actually not so long, I suppose, if you look at the world's major sporting events with 50, 100-year histories.
Absolutely. We talk about getting the basics right. And, there were stories in the early days where you would take one of the tents and see how long it took you to put that tent up. And then you said, okay, well, now I've got to times that by 1,500 tents. And then the logistics started. And I mean, it's just a mammoth task, isn't it? And I think today, we're going to talk to 5 of the key individuals in your team. And we talk about teams, we talk about Jedis, we talk about ninjas, we talk about, game changers. And that's what you've got around you, haven't you? You've got an incredible team.
Oh, totally. And I mean, there was a secret from the start, because when I was sitting at my desk in London, I thought I was going to come back to South Africa, buy a KTM and be driving up and down the Western Cape, like choosing mountain bike routes. As it turned out, I sat behind my desk for 17 years, didn't really get out to choose the route much. I started like recruiting people like Enrico that were experts at it. And from the beginning, we were lucky we got like the best in the business to do everything that was required. And in the first year, we had 1 or 2 full-time staff, and you could say we kind of had to be jack of all trades. Whereas now we've built up the business so that actually we've got really, it's a very unique skill to have. I mean, there aren't many mountain bike stage races in the world, so the experience that one gets at the Epic, in this game, it's the best experience you can get in the world. So folk that have been working at the Epic for 10, 15 years, like most of the guys on this call now, in fact, all of them, they're absolutely the best at their job in the world. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to work on events all over the world, and obviously you've seen and taken part in some of the biggest events in the world in this space. And I can tell you, for me, I always have such pride when I get to an event, and I come to the Absa Cape Epic every year, and I just see this well-oiled machine. And we've definitely got world beaters, and I think certainly, we've got very different conditions to putting events together than most other parts of the world. And I just think South Africans thrive on the challenge and the pride. There's just so much pride, and we talk about pride, and we talk about the Cape Epic culture. I mean, the pride in each one of your team is something spectacular. The way they talk about the race, the way their eyes glow when you chat to them about it.
Yeah, I mean, money can't buy that. That's what if you can inspire that, then you've got a secret sauce in the team that organises it, and it's very difficult to compete with that. We've got obviously some very special ingredients in the Western Cape. Namely the weather, the terrain, the time of year allows riders from all over the world to come out to South Africa, particularly suitable for them to come out to South Africa from their own racing calendars. And you put all those together and add a lot of passion, and you've got a phenomenal recipe.
Kevin, we talk about culture, and we talk about, the teams, and, 90% of your team, I would think, just looking at them, are all riding a bike. How many of them get to actually ride the Absa Cape Epic? I know you've ridden it a couple of times. How important is it for you to keep that cycling culture within the business?
Well, there's 2 parts to that question. The first one is no one's allowed to ride the Cape Epic. It's much harder to work than to ride on the Cape Epic. And I always said, that the experience that one gains from working at the race, particularly at the early years, was like gold dust. And I didn't want to lose those people that had the experience. So the idea was that, you lock in, you work at the race, and that's it. You have to resign if you want to ride the race. And of course, it's not entirely true now. After 17 years now, we have employed a few people that have ridden the race in the past, but frankly, not many. And yes, I have ridden the race, luckily. I was privileged enough in 2016 to ride it for the first time, and I think it was also where the race had got to the point where it really, we say well-oiled machine, but I felt at that time, 2016, it was in a very sweet spot. And, you know, I'd really put in, I mean, there's some phenomenal management that allowed me just to take a gap and train for the race. And absolutely, it was the best 8 days of my life. You know, and I've ridden it another time since then in 2019, the last time the race took place. And these are phenomenal experiences. And if there's any Zwift rider out there now that's listening to this, and you're doing the Epic for the first time in October or in the future, you can really look forward to some phenomenal days with hopefully one of your best friends. And it's not only the race. I think for me in 2016, when I did it for the first time, the best thing about it actually was the lead up to it. You know, we got our systems dialed, we got our equipment sorted, we went and did other races together, races that I would never have normally done, but because I needed them to prepare myself for the Epic, you know, we went out and did these races all over the country, and it was just a really special bonding time with one of my best friends. And 2019, I actually rode with the guy that I rode the race in Costa Rica with in 2002. So it was quite a nice, like, full circle.
Kevin, this morning we've got two of your team riding, Mike Flynn and obviously Gareth Harrington. We know how competitive they are. If you had to be a betting man and put money behind one of them, who would win in a 100-meter egg and spoon race?
If you gave him enough time to think about it and to plan it, Mike could probably win it. But if you told them just to head off and run straight away, probably Gareth would win it.
That's a great answer. That's a great answer. Kevin, enjoy the rest of your ride. We'll come back and chat with you a little bit later. But just from our side, thanks so much again for joining us this morning. And thanks for the passion and the pride for this incredible country and for putting on what is the Tour de France of mountain biking, the Absa Cape Epic. Thanks so much.
Thanks,
all right, so we'll chat again with Gareth a little bit later. What we're going to do now is quickly go and have a look at what to expect at the Absa Cape Epic. It's a VT, a little video for you, and we're just going to run that for you quickly before we go and catch up with Michael Flynn. So there it is, from the 17th to the 24th of October. Expect everything at the 17th edition of the Absa Cape Epic. I cannot wait. I get goosebumps every time I see that incredible footage. As you can see on the screen now, we've got Michael Flynn. And Michael, of course, the managing director of the Absa Cape Epic, a very distinguished cyclist as well. Let's quickly go and have a look at his profile before we bring him in on Zoom and have a chat. There he is, Michael Flynn, our managing director of the Absa Cape Epic. Looking forward to chatting to him today and finding out a little bit more about what goes on behind the scenes. Let's go across to him in his pain cave now. Michael, good morning.
Morning, Max. Morning, everyone.
How's the ride going?
Yeah. I got the interview on the climb.
Sorry about that. We knew that it would either be you or Gareth that was capable, so we chose you.
No No worries. He was happy to lead from the front.
How's the ride going?
Yeah, thanks. It's going really well. I mean, this platform like Zwift has been phenomenal for us over the last 12 months or so, since we came on board. It's really given us a number of opportunities to remain current in the market, but also to engage with all of our riders that we couldn't host in March this year. So really privileged to be able to join you guys and the Team Absa riders this morning. Bit of an early start to shock to the system.
Michael, we've chatted over the last 3 rides. We've been talking to a couple of the athletes. We've spoken to a couple of the pro ladies. We had a chat with John Smith, Brian Habana, Joel Stransky, and Butch James at the last one. And most of these guys are guys and girls that have ridden, and they've shared their experiences with us. And we've spoken specifically around choosing the right partner, getting the right teamwork, getting the right training, doing the right logistics and packing, etc., etc. But so much of that is apparent, obviously, for the riders, but also a lot of them are very aware of what goes on behind the scenes and just how hard it is behind the scenes for you and your team. As the managing director, as the Absa Cape Epic, you've got this thing down and dialed into just a clean, fast, smooth moving experience. But tell us a little about the planning and the spreadsheets involved from your side. I mean, there's just so many things to take into account.
Yeah, absolutely, Max. I suppose we can impart credit to Kevin for that, for drilling it into our DNA over the years, really to look into the finer details. The meticulous planning that the team puts in year round is phenomenal. It's second to none. Typically, we're looking at about, I would say, on average now, prior to COVID, aiming for about 18-month lead time to have things dialed in. And then it's just fine-tuning over the remaining few months, Over the COVID period, we've used that time to really build that cushion, to work 2-3 years in advance now. But as the years go on, the team become better and better, refine the spreadsheets and the systems that we use to really just enhance the experience for the riders overall. Because at the heart of it, that's what we're about. Really rocking the rider experience and making it a really, I would say, a life-changing experience. With your best friends, we've got crew members who take time off, personal time off from work to attend the race. Yeah. Often as volunteers for free. Yeah. Yeah. So it's been really, really good to pull together.
Michael, let's talk quickly about those volunteers. I mean, obviously, you've got an incredible core team and you've got an amazing platform of skill sets with the ninjas and people that work on the Absa Cape Epic, but the volunteer base is critical for you guys.
Absolutely, yeah. We've got a pretty unique volunteer program, a mixture of international and local. I've always described them as sort of a mini family of the Absa Cape Epic family, And we've got about, on average, I'd say 55, 60 traditional volunteers in the true sense of it. Those are guys you'd see on the water points, race nutrition services, around the race village, guiding you at registration. And these guys are passionate. They commit time, often more than the days of the race, to come out to South Africa. Sometimes they bring their family and friends to travel along with the race. But really passionate about what the race is and what it means. And I think the goosebumps that they get and the friendships they make, not only with the other volunteers, but also with the riders. That's the stuff that money can't buy that, And
Absolutely.
That's the beauty of the race.
Yeah. Mike, we speak about goosebumps and we look at some of the biggest events in the world, the top of their game, best in class. We talk about Wimbledon's, we talk about Super Bowl, we talk about Tour de France. And when we talk mountain biking, we talk Absa Cape Epic. Do you wake up in the morning sometimes and just think to yourself, I'm the managing director of the greatest, most sought after mountain bike stage race in the world?
Absolutely. I mean, I think I would be lying if I said I didn't. I mean, you've got to have a reason to get up in the morning, and I've been fortunate enough to be involved with the race since 2005. And after the first month, I go, I've done it. What could be better? And well, 15 years later, 16, I'm back, every year. And so it's it's an honor. And to work with incredible partners, so that's also the core. It's really the partnerships we've built, the friendships. Otherwise it's just another job. This is always the calling, I'd say. These early morning runs are challenging, but it's good. It's good to stay healthy.
Michael, we talk about these relationships and just how critical they are. And we look at Absa coming on board, I think it was 2006, in the third year. You're now going into year 17. That's a 14-year relationship. That's something you don't see that often these days. I mean, that's incredible. And just the way that they've integrated, the way that they've sort of, got more involved as the understandings got better, how they've activated and how they've really taken charge and worked closely with you guys as a team to maximize this partnership.
Yeah, I mean, Max, we couldn't have asked for a better partnership. The guys, over the years, I mean, teams have come, teams have gone. We still consider them part of the family, even if they're no longer with the Absa team. But at the heart of it, the Absa activations, the engagements, the leadership there, even the guys that are working on the event, they really go into the detail. I think we share similar values in that sense, where we're really at the core of it is the customer experience, and how can we change lives that way,
100%.
Not just the riders, but also the community that we visit. And I mean, just working with David, with Ari, with Jeff, the team there, the Playmakers guys too. I mean, they really get it, and we couldn't have asked for better partners over the years, and we're really pleased and happy to keep growing with them.
Fantastic. Well, look, enjoy the sunshine there with Table Mountain in the background. We got lots of rain here at Joburg. I'm not actually sure what's happening on your side, but we got a downpour here this morning. Enjoy the rest of the ride. We'll check in with you a little bit later, and whatever you do, do not let Gareth Harrington beat you.
You got to let them win sometimes, eh?
Cheers, Mike. Chat later. Bye-bye.
Cheers, thanks.
All right, so back to the riding there. You can see Mike Flynn there, and 11.5 Ks into the ride. They're moving nicely, looking at about 25 kilometers an hour. Been riding for 25 minutes, so they really are moving quite quickly. He's putting out some decent watts. You'll see that little beam of light coming down onto the screen, and that, of course, is our Absa team marshal, Andrew Krobler, and that is where all the riders are kept in this little pocket where they can all ride together and take part in the race today. I see Carly Cook there as well this morning, so really cool to see her riding. She'll be doing her very first Absa Cape Epic in 2021, so I know she's really, really excited about that. Let's quickly go now, and one of the biggest things that people talk about when it comes to the Absa Cape Epic is that it's untamed, and part of bringing that sort of folklore to life is the route. The route is critically important. The route changes. It's every single year. The stages are different, the distances are different, the heights are different, the elevation changes, so it's a very integral part of the racing. We spoke with Michael Finn and how people plan and how they need to plan so far in advance. They're not planning for 2021 now. They're already planning 2022, 2023. But the route is critically important. Let's quickly go and have a look at this video on the route.
Eight days. 647 kilometers. 15,550 meters of vertical ascent. Rugged, unrelenting, windswept, untamed. Out here, minutes become hours. Hours become stories. And stories become legend. A spot in the book of legend will not be given up without a fight. And the trails from the iconic slopes of Table Mountain, through citrus plantations and vineyards, over high mountain passes, and along forgotten paths, are littered with challenges, both known and unknown.
There it is, the Absa Cape Epic route. It's famous, or should I say infamous, in every single way. Looking really forward to going and chatting to the route director, Enrico Berger, shortly. Right now, though, we're going to try and cut back to Jabu Nsimbanyoni, and see if we can have a quick chat with her, and obviously finish our conversation from a little bit earlier when we had those technical problems. Jabu, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Look at that. Amazing. Amazing. How's it going? How's the ride?
It's actually fun. Hey, I'm enjoying myself. Thank you so much. I'm a bit breathy, but I'm enjoying it.
Jobu, we've just had a chat with Michael Flynn, the managing director, and obviously the founder, Kevin Famar, quickly while they've also been riding. We've just done a quick VT, a little video on the route and just how difficult the route is. What's your experience been of cycling? Do you spend most of your time on the road bike or on the mountain bike?
I've only ever been on a mountain bike. I think I'm still a bit intimidated by a road bike. So also I think I'm one of those girls that like the rough and so I don't know if I'll ever, but for now, I think I'm happy on a mountain bike.
When you go riding, have you got a group of friends you ride with? Is there a cycle club that you've joined? How do you get out and enjoy the outdoors on your bicycle?
So earlier on, I was trying to explain how I started. So I was lucky that we started with a group of Cycle Lab ladies. So I ride with them mostly on Saturdays. I guess that also gave me a bit of comfort on the road because it can be very intimidating, the traffic and that. So how I actually started was a bit more in a bubble and protected. So I kept that bubble.
Very
for
good.
Myself.
And what a great bunch of people at Cycle Lab. Obviously, they're doing incredible things for cycling throughout South Africa, through all of their clubs. If you're in conversation, let's say you go to an afternoon function or a braai or whatever it is, and someone starts talking to you about cycling, and they ask the question, how do I get involved? What would your advice be to a woman specifically on getting involved and taking the plunge into the world of cycling?
So I think first of all is being able to demystify the myth that cycling, mostly mountain biking, is for males. I would actually get them connected with a group of women that are already doing it so that you can see that it's possible, And I mean, there's a lot of also speculation about the cost of the sport, the gear and all of that. But I think when I started getting involved, I realized that you can make it as expensive as you want it to be, and it shouldn't be that expensive. So it's just to help them demystify the myths around it.
Absolutely. Jobu, thanks so much for joining us this morning, and please enjoy the rest of your ride. We look forward to seeing how things go today on the ride, but just keep on doing what you're doing. It's so cool to see you on the bike, and thanks so much for your energy and passion for cycling with Absa. We really do appreciate it, and it's been great getting to know you and to meet you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Goodbye. So chatting to Jobu, nice to be able to finish off that conversation, and she really looks very comfortable on the bike. So well done, and keep on riding, ride on. Next up, we're going to have a chat with Henrico Berger. Here's his profile. He is, of course, the route director. And as long as I've known mountain biking in South Africa, I've known that this guy is the guy to go to. If you want to know about land access, if you want to know about the local terrain, if you want to know about routes, about who's doing what in the space of mountain biking around South Africa, this guy is the Wikipedia, and an incredible route builder, and just such a great personality within our mountain bike community in South Africa. He is also, of course, the route director of the Absa Cape Epic. Let's cross to him now in his pain cave. Henrico, good morning.
Morning, Max. Morning, everybody.
Your background is the most beautiful so far. You know why? Because it's real. Is that not a real background behind you?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, look at that silhouette.
It's a live background.
Well done, Henrico.
With the sun coming up from behind. Yeah.
Beautiful. How's it going this morning? How's the ride? I see that you're putting the boys into the pain cave a bit.
Yeah, it's good. It's lekker. You know, it's a bit early for this time of year, to be honest, but it's all good.
Henrico, we talk about the route and just how infamous it is, and what legend it is within the story of the Absa Cape Epic. And we know that you've been involved, forever in the route. What have the challenges been for you this year, specifically with the postponement of the race to later on in the year? How does that affect your route choice, knowing that you're coming out of winter into summer? There may not be as much rain because the winter in Cape Town falls in the winter, the rain of obviously falls in the winter. How have those route choices changed, and have they changed at all for you going into the October event?
Like, we all know we're going to see the Stolbach, which is obviously fruit harvesting areas. So March has its challenges. October actually will make it slightly easier when it comes to, the activities on the farms that we crossed over. And also, I think it will be a once-off brilliant experience to ride in a different season. Route-wise, minor changes. The route we chose from the beginning was actually a well-worked-out route, so it wasn't necessary to do major changes to the route for October.
Henrico, let's talk quickly about the landowners and obviously route access. I mean, they're just such an incredible and integral part of the success of the event. Obviously, you planning years in advance with the route, you've got ideas of where you want to go and what you want to do. How does that relationship and how important is that relationship for the Absa Cape Epic and for you as the route director?
Well, obviously, landowner relationship is one of the key, relationships that the Absa Cape Epic can have. I think that's why we work on a very long-term plan. Michael mentioned 3-4 years in advance. People normally ask me, when are you going to start working on next year's route? And the standard answer is 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to slow down a little bit so I can catch some breath here. And then, so basically the plan is, we divided the Western Cape into 3 areas. Sort of a eastern, middle, western. And we have a relationship with landowners that they know that we're coming back, say, once every 3-4 years. It's not only a once-off. It's obviously a challenge for us changing the route every year. We don't work with the same landowners every year, but the long-term relationship is a thing that's actually saved us. And where landowners are also prepared to spend some money in developing routes on their properties.
Absolutely, and so important to have that relationship. We look at October, and as you've said, quite a couple of things in favour for October. The weather will be better, we're presuming, but also all of the professional athletes, probably 5% of the field made up of pro athletes, the 95% made up of, social and weekend warriors, and obviously, A-grade top athletes as well. But super important for you, and when you're putting that route together, how do you find that balance? For example, let's talk about the Queen stage. Let's talk about the toughest stage every year. How do you put that stage together knowing that you've got this varying level of rider?
It's first of all, there's a myth that we try and make the first 1 or 2 stages as difficult as possible to get, as they call it, to get, well, with a lack of any other word, to get rid of the guys who's not fit enough to be there. Now, that's a myth. We see what the lay of the land is. There's not, for us, it's not a case of go and look. First of all, you look at the whole 8 stages, 7 stages plus a prologue, and find a balance between, within that. And then you divide it into the individual stages, where you start looking at, yesterday we had in excess of 3,000 meters of climbing, for instance. So today we try and bring it down to just under 2.5, under 2.3. So that kind of stuff plays a role, but at the end of the day, you look at the lay of the land, you try and use the best that's available, try and link, you go to a lot of landowners and they come and show you, I have this, and the next owner has got a different set of trails 10, 15 kilometers away. So for us, the challenge is how to link that. And that's what makes the Absa Cape Epic, I would think, more special. The fact that a lot of our guys can go and ride those pockets, but they can't ride the link.
Absolutely.
And we do spend some money in, developing the link, bring up some of the trails to the standard that we want. And that's the kind of legacy we leave behind.
Absolutely.
And whenever we leave, say for instance this year is October, we have a debrief with the landowners and said, next time, we're going to go over that mountain. And sometimes the guys would tell you, not possible, 3 more years later, we'll go over that mountain, we'll find a way.
Absolutely. I mean, it's incredible just to see. And you know, we spoke with Kevin earlier about passion and having the right team. You've obviously been in the game forever. As long as I've known you, you've been riding a mountain bike. Do you still have that passion within you each and every day when you go out and find these routes?
You know, what's amazing is the fact that we work 2 or 3 years. So obviously we focus now on 2022 route. But if I wake up in the morning and I feel, yes, I'm a bit over this area of the Western Cape, I peep over and go and have a look what's going on 2023 route. So that's a benefit. So it keeps it exciting. And yeah, you know, it's a, you know, and what we tend to forget is towns are a very important part of the so-called landowners. You know, certain towns like us to come through the town and have a hotspot within the town. Other towns would just rather go around the town, but it's all part of the process.
Absolutely. Enrico, let's. I know it's difficult because it's like asking you the question, you know, if you've got 3 children, which is your favorite child? But which is your favorite route, or section of route that you've ever worked on or ridden within the Absa Cape Epic over your years? And what makes that route so special for you, or that section of route so special for you?
You know, Max, I would always say that was probably one of my favorite stages ever was stage 5 of 2019, where we started in Oak Valley and finished in Stellenbosch. And we went through various nature reserves that was an absolute no-go a few years ago. And, you know, I think it was also the stage with by far the most landowners ever. So when it comes to the proper planning of a route and the work that's been done on the route and see successful, I think that was most probably the most difficult stage that I've ever been part of, the design of it.
Absolutely,
you know? Yeah. And the riding was also not easy. I mean, it was a Queen stage that year, but if you look at specific trails, you know, the rural areas where the guys built some really rough stuff and not a pure manicure, like we're going to Isselfontein, the Greyton type of trails, the Aare kind of trails. That's the kind of trails I think that we will always try and fit somewhere in the Absa Cape Epic.
Absolutely.
That's a real test for bike and machine and rider.
Enrico, thanks so much for your time. We're going to try and come in and chat to you a little bit later if we do have some questions.
Thanks.
But thanks as well for your passion and thanks for just, you know, being that guy that puts together this incredible race and part of this incredible team that is the Absa Cape Epic. Enjoy the rest of your ride and we hope to chat to you a little bit later. Cheers.
Thanks, Max. Talk to you later.
So there it is, Enrico Berger, the route director, guru when it comes to anything that has to do with the route. And again, planning is just so important. He's already working on that 2023 route. Next up, we're going to have a chat with the race director of the Absa Cape Epic, and that, of course, is Corin Clement. Let's have a look at her profile quickly. There she is. She's not on Zwift this morning, but we are going to be going on Zoom to have a chat with her and see how she's doing this morning. Corin, good morning.
Morning, Max. Hi, how's it going?
Very well, thanks. And yourself?
Well, a bit of an early start. Very chuffed that I'm not on the bikes this morning. Everyone's a little bit up, although you guys are doing brilliant. In solidarity, this day to make sure that I get a bit of exercise in ahead of this morning session.
Yeah, cool. I mean, so good to see them getting on their bikes early. And, you know, we've been talking, the natural thread of the conversation this morning is just how critical and important the team is. And not only, you know, when you're riding the Absa Cape Epic and choosing the right partner, but on the back end of the race and what you guys do. You know, you've got these ninjas, these best of class, these Jedis that are, one, super passionate, tenacious, gritty, and they 100% believe in what they're doing and they're incredibly proud of what they're doing. How's your experience been? I know you went into the race director position in 2019 for the first time, but you've been involved with the Epic family for quite some time. How has your interaction been while you've been there, and how incredible is the team that you work with?
I think the first word that comes to mind is family. Yes, I was involved for most of my professional career in many ways. And I've been lucky enough to in the company and at different divisions as well. So get a really overarching of the event has been awesome. But without a doubt, the people that you meet on the Epic is one of the highlights of the job, whether that's not only just the crew, but the landowners, the venues that we work with in the towns that we visit over the course of the years. It's just been such a great experience and humbling experience to meet all of those people and interact with them over, so many years.
As race director, you obviously deal with, the pro teams, their managers and the train that comes with that, but you're dealing with, those weekend warriors. You're dealing with those first-time Absa Cape Epic competitors. How difficult is it, and how do you manage that space where everyone is as important as the next person? Because at the end of the day, that's what's critical. What's critical is that Absa Cape Epic experience from, your top 5% of the pros to your 95% of everyone else taking part is a unique experience which is going to cement relationships and memories for life.
Yeah, I think working on and organizing a pro-am race is something that's quite unique because, as you say, you're dealing with quite different sets of riders at the front and at the back of the pack. But something I am a firm believer is that every rider should have the exact same experience at the event. So, whether you're the first rider at the water point, the last rider at the water point, you really should have that same level of enthusiasm and support from the crew, but also the spread provided by Woolworths out at our water points and USN and all of our various sponsors. So, it is important to keep consistent, but of course there is a huge difference between the pros and the amateurs and the front and the back of the pack. And there's adjustments that need to be made during the course of the day as the team are interacting with different riders during the day.
Let's talk 2021 quickly. Obviously, the postponement of the race from March through to October. The challenges that come with that obviously are vast. But, we've spoken with Michael, we've spoken with Enrico. The planning phase of the Absa Cape Epic is 2 years in advance. How difficult has it been for you to move and to take everything and move it 6 months in advance? And what can the riders expect when they get to the race on the 17th or the 16th of October for registration?
Yeah, look, I think without a doubt, the last year has been the most challenging times of our careers and probably will continue to be that for all of us. One of the things that we've definitely learned over the last 12 months is how to pick and roll, and as we work towards the October event. Luckily, we're very good at thinking out the box, thinking on our feet, and making sure that what's going on in our industry, and that's both with the riders themselves, but also all the regulations. So as Enrico mentioned, for the October event, climate is going to be obviously quite different to what we're used to. We're expecting the trails to react a little bit differently during October as opposed to in the heat of the summer in the month of March. So cooler temperatures, green vegetation with a lot less sand and dust, so people environmental stuff that's going on out there on the route itself. But for the event, we're currently planning for a spectator-free event. There's a lot of uncertainty at the moment going on as to what events are going to look like, but we're planning full steam ahead for the October event. And of course, we all in the world today have learned a lot of lessons over the last 12 months. We're definitely implementing those in the lead up to the October event. So, very much focusing on the 5 principles of our return to racing, with a lot of awareness around hygiene and screening and education. Obviously, wherever we can, and the touch points, and of course, personal responsibility. That's both for the riders and the crew that are attending the event. So, using those as a basis for our planning for October's event, we'll be working super closely with obviously our medical supplier, Mediclinic, as well as our service provider for safety, and of course all the local authorities, just to make sure that whatever it is that we're doing in October will be definitely safe for everybody attending the event.
Brilliant. It sounds like you've got everything under control, and what more to expect from the incredible team at the Absa Cape Epic. I think quickly, just to finish off this conversation, October is going to open up in a positive way, a lot of opportunities as well for the brand and for Absa Cape Epic, because all the elite athletes would have finished their Olympic Games. They would have finished their World Cup seasons. You know, they'll be in a good space. They'll be riding well. Is that going to change the top end of the field a bit? Do you think you're going to get some newbies or some guys and girls coming back at that pro elite level from the team side? What has the interest been in that space?
Well, sure. How long is a piece of string is kind of the answer to that question. Things are chopping and changing so much, it's very hard to predict what the rider profiles are actually going to look like and the race registry by the time October rolls around. But I think, yes, the answer is without a doubt, October is going to be a really important year. Not only are the trails different, but I think the change in time of the year and the impact of the Olympics. There's going to be some interesting riders who are being attracted to the event that potentially could never have participated before because of their existing schedules. So I would say watch this space. We've got a lot of exciting things in the wings in regards to the as well as some celebrity riders. So keep an eye on our media channels and be the best.
Corin, thanks so much for your time and for your incredible passion that you have for the brand, and please pass on the thanks to your incredible team as well. Keep doing what you're doing. I cannot wait to be at the prologue in Cape Town come October. Have a great day, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks.
All right, incredible to chat to Corin there, the race director of the Absa Cape Epic. What we're going to do now is quickly talk about Zwift and how Zwift has changed the way that people engage on their training platforms and in this virtual world. And one of the big things that came out of this year, and again been led by the Absa Cape Epic, was the virtual Cape Epic. That happened last month. The man that headed that up was Gareth Harrington. But before we go and have a chat with him, let's quickly go and have a look at this video on the Pro-Am highlights of the Absa Cape Epic. The Pro-Am, of course, with the virtual Absa Cape Epic on the Zwift platform. The man in charge of putting that together, the sponsorship manager of the Absa Cape Epic, Gareth Harrington. Let's quickly have a look at his profile, and then we're going to go in and have a chat with him in his pain cave. Good morning, Gareth.
Max, how's it? How you doing?
Very well, thanks. How's the ride going?
Yeah, good. I don't have the natural lighting and backdrop of Indrico. My flat's got like a UFO-shaped light that's causing havoc with my virtual background. But I lie down in the time trial position. I think I'm visible.
Gareth, we're talking quickly on the virtual Absa Cape Epic and on the Zwift platform. Having to innovate is one of the big things that have come into our lives during this lockdown. As the sponsorship manager for the Absa Cape Epic, obviously a lot of strategy involved in getting those podcasts together, then getting the activation together of the 4 different races sponsored by your 4 different partners, Data, Oakley, and of course Assos, and then of course creating the elements of the unlocks for the kit, the unlocks for the bike, and then also, you know, the prize that came with it, that incredible Scott bicycle, and then obviously the ability for those riders doing all 4 of those rides to qualify into the Pro-Am, and then the Pro-Am itself on the 17th. Tell us a bit about your journey and quick sort of executive summary on how it panned out and how was it received not only by your community and your riders, but also by your partners and your sponsors.
Yeah, Max, I think that was a good summary. Thank you. I think it starts quite a while back. To Kevin's credit and Mike, innovation's been one of our key pillars at the event for a long time. And we started our chats with Zwift quite a while ago, before the pandemic. And they were a partner beforehand, and we had dabbled in the virtual space with relative success. And then obviously with lockdown, it just exploded at the platform. And they've been a great partner. You did a great synopsis there, and we had a comprehensive plan in place with them, which was fantastic. And our partners had huge trust in us, which we have to thank them for, especially Absa, guys like Ari, David, Jeff, Tina, Mutunzi, and team. They really backed us in what we were doing and said, cool, go for it. And then I think to their credit, it's actually ended up where we are now with Absa joining us in the virtual space, which has been fantastic. So yeah, thanks to everyone involved, particularly Zwift and Absa. Assos got on board with the jersey, Didi, the connectivity. So it's been fantastic. Everyone played their role and played to their strengths.
Gareth, we know that you're very familiar with the pain cave and putting yourself in the hurt box. How's your experience been with Zwift and the in-game platform, and how's it helped you personally with your training during lockdown?
Yeah, well, it kept me sane during lockdown was probably the most important thing. More for people around me than myself, I guess. But what I think it does offer, Max, is a real quality experience for the working guy. An hour, 90 minutes of good quality stuff. And sadly, it's a safe option compared to the road. There's no cars. There's only Wi-Fi issues. So I think that's a great space. And then we see Team Absa now and the She Untamed. It also gives women a nice safe space to get into cycling, to get fit. There's still a community sense there. So it's been fantastic from that side. And then watching it grow has been awesome. The level of racing. We had over 20,000 people complete the events in March. So there's definitely appetite, and it's been super interesting to watch it all grow, and innovation just keeps coming.
The inaugural winners of that in the elite women, Elizabeth Brando, and in the men's, Hans Becking. Really cool to see the level of athlete taking part. We watched the UCI Esports Cycling World Championships last year, where our very own Ashley Moorman-Passio took the title there. It certainly is a space that is becoming more popular, and we're finding that as people get into the in-game experience, we're finding that there's actually a specific skill set that goes along with obviously being successful in these races.
Yeah, I think it's a very different space. So not necessarily the most talented guy in the real world converting straight across to Zwift. Ashley touched on it in the video we had in our live broadcast. You've got to train specifically for this. In general, the events are shorter. You're looking at 45 minutes to an hour, as opposed to real world stuff that's in excess of 3 hours. And then obviously there's strategy like the power ups, the draft effect in game, all of that stuff plays into a huge role in the virtual world. And I think Ashley summed it up and showed why she was world champion. She went from the real world, practiced a lot in Zwift, got used to the intensity and the tactics, and credit to her, she's the eSport world champ.
100% right. Gareth, let's talk about the virtual Absa Cape Epic. Is it here to stay? I mean, so successful, as you said, 20,000 engagements, people taking part. It's a great opportunity for your sponsors to get involved. The digital platform makes it really easy to look at things like deliverables and activations and integration. What has the feedback been from not only the athletes, but also from your partners on the success behind the very first virtual Absa Cape Epic?
Yeah, Max, I think you're right. It is here to stay. With or without the pandemic going forward, I think virtual offerings will be something that sponsors and athletes expect rights holders to have. So I think it will be there for a while. Our sponsors have loved it. They've loved the engagement and the content it creates. It was always our plan to keep it going. Whether we'll have the same scale in lockdown, unknown, but definitely something we'll keep doing. And I think it will become expected of rights holders to offer something in the virtual space.
All right, Gareth, thanks so much for your time today. We are running out of time. We're about 5 minutes or 6 minutes to go till the end of the broadcast. Enjoy the rest of your ride. I'm very keen to see the results, to see what happened between yourself and Michael Flynn, because I know there'll be a little game on there. But keep doing what you're doing. Thanks so much for your passion, and thanks so much for putting the virtual Absa Cape Epic together. I know I watched it every single day. I was glued to it, and I really, really enjoyed the spectator and the fan experience. So thanks so much.
Thanks, Max. Well done on the Premier League stuff. Super cool.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye. So always great to chat with Gareth Harrington, and so cool to meet the ninjas behind the team at the Absa Cape Epic. We're watching Andrew Grobler now from Team Absa. He's close to the finish. What we're going to do quickly now is go and have a look at what the Epic Series is about. And the Epic Series is 8 races around the world. It's a global MTB. Let's quickly have a look at that and hopefully get a quick last chat with Kevin van Mark surrounding this series. So there it is, the Epic Series, the global MTB, 8 races around the world. And obviously the pinnacle of that is the Absa Cape Epic, taking place from the 17th to the 24th of October here in South Africa this year. Let's quickly go across and finish off today by having a chat with the founder of the Absa Cape Epic, Kevin van Mark, bringing him back in and having a chat to him quickly about this Epic Series. Kevin, it's been incredible chatting to your team this morning. And wow, it's just amazing to see the passion that ignites with each and every one of them and their different skill sets. Let's talk quickly, Kev, about the Epic Series. Obviously, it's grown now into 8 events around the world, 3 of those in Australia, 1 in New Zealand. We've obviously got the Wines to Wales in South Africa as well, and Dora, I think, comes up there as well, the Swiss Epic. Tell us a bit about that. Tell us about the vision behind it and the pinnacle of that, obviously, the Absa Cape Epic.
Well, I guess for the Absa Cape Epic, the next step was to start exporting the experience. And, I think, gosh, it was almost 10 years ago, someone coined the phrase that said, South Africa to mountain bike stage racing is like Hawaii to surfing. And this really is coming true now because Ironman Group, which is the organizer, the biggest organizer of mass participation events worldwide, with over 500,000 athletes taking part in events every year in a regular year. They own the Cape Epic now, and the idea is that they roll out this concept of mountain bike stage racing around the world, and it's been phenomenal for the team that we created in South Africa because we've all got now an international career path, and a lot of the work for these other races that are either being bought or launched around the world, actually the expertise is coming from South Africa. The predecessor in Corin's role, Katie Zack, who has been with me since the second event way back in 2005, she is now the global director for mountain bike operations and is flying around the world sorting out new mountain bike races. So that's the Epic Series. It's a set of phenomenal races, the same promise as the Absa Cape Epic. For the riders taking part in this ride today, I would choose one race out of all of those, and that's the Swiss Epic. Personally, I think it's a very special race. It's quite something to ride over the Alps, the Swiss Alps particularly, and the experience is phenomenal. It's only 5 days, it's a bit shorter, but the climbing is insane, and the downhills are something that you can't really experience in South Africa. It's like you might do 1,000 meters of descent in one downhill, so it's a special experience.
Kevin, positioning yourself where you are, I mean, you're the Tour de France of mountain biking. You are to mountain biking what Wimbledon is to tennis, what the NFL is to the Super Bowl. It's been 17 years, but as you say, 17 years actually isn't that I know we're getting older, but 17 years isn't that long. You've got this target on your back. You've got people looking at you and seeing where the progression is going. You've got a lot of people waiting and watching, especially during this crazy time. Where do you want to be in 5 years' time? Where do you see the Epic series being in 5 years' time? And where do you see the Absa Cape Epic being in 5 years' time?
So, I mean, just to be clear, personally, I'm focusing on the Absa Cape Epic. I don't look at the other races around the world. It's basically the races in South Africa along with One to Wales. And yeah, I mean, it all depends what one wanted to create. You know, like with the Absa Cape Epic, we wanted to create this iconic sporting event brand that lives beyond any one single person. So sure, I've always had this vision that this race is going to last forever, and it's going to be the iconic race that every serious mountain biker the world over, you know, the kids that are like 10 years old now getting into the sport, you know, this must be the number one goal, that in 20 years' time they want to finish the Absa Cape Epic, whether it's to win the age group or to just get a chance to race against an Olympic medalist that year, or just to do it with a family member. I mean, I look forward to the day one day when I ride it with my son.
Wow, yeah.
So it's, you know, that's the sort of thing that I wanted to create, and it seems like it's on a good way. I think it's created that platform to be that for many years to come.
Absolutely. Kevin, just from our side, a very big thank you for your time this morning. It's been incredible spending the time with you and your team, and just amazing to be able to chat to you during this crazy time. We want to wish you the very best of luck for the 17th to the 24th of October. I, for one, am definitely going to be on the sports fields at UCT getting ready for the prologue and coming to watch. Just thanks so much to what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. Don't forget to high-five yourselves more often, because you guys are really, really doing amazing stuff, and we're very, very proud of all of you, and thank you for bringing this incredible event to the continent of Africa and right here in South Africa as well. Please pass the message on to your team, and have a great day.
Thanks, Max.
Cheers. All right, incredible to chat to everyone, and a couple of riders still out on the route. That's all we've got time for this morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very much for joining us. Thank you so much to Jabu for joining us from her pain cave on Zwift this morning, and of course to the incredibly talented and dynamic Absa Cape Epic team of ninjas for joining us this morning. So big shout out and thank you to each and every one of them, to Corin, to Enrico, to Gareth, to Mike, and of course to Kevin. It's been incredible spending this time with you, and we are getting more and more excited as we move forward. What we're going to do now is we're going to go to the VT, and that of course is of the Ace Africa video. Have a look at this. So there it is, and just a final goodbye to each and every one of you. Henrico, to Mike, to Corin, to Gareth, thank you to you this morning for your time. Have an incredible day. Henrico, you nailed it on the background this morning, sir. Congratulations. Guys, keep doing what you're doing. We're very, very proud of you, and thank you for bringing us the incredible event that is the Absa Cape Epic. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Max. Bye.